I felt so good. I don't want to give this up. I can't give this up. And the 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever it was enough for me to actually acquire a taste for beef.
Bernadette, how did you find carnivore?
Well, Dave, it was a bit of a journey for me. Um, I dabbled with paleo for a while. It was quite a long time ago when it was sort of everywhere and people were talking about it. I was following Pete Evans. I really liked what he was doing. But there were a few things about it that didn't really sort of make sense, like eating all these seeds and zucchini. When would people have had zucchini back in the Paleolithic ages? So that didn't make sense. Plus, I was working in hospitality at the time, high-end hospitality, so I was surrounded by amazing food, and I'm not somebody who can resist stuff when it comes to food and sweets, especially. I also looked into keto. I know some friends of mine were doing keto, but they seem to be eating so much cheese and fat and things like that. So it didn't really appeal to me. So although I did look into it and I dabbled with it, and I guess I ended up eating sort of keto-ish, low carb-ish as much as I could, but it was not really keto. Um, then I also came across Dr. Gundry and his plant paradox, which made a lot of sense. He talks about lectins a lot, so that's where I probably was introduced to the concept of toxins in plants, and that some superfoods that are touted as superfoods or extremely healthy for you and recommended to eat loads of, actually not that healthy, or they are not that great for you. Sort of nightshades, for example, tomatoes, capsicums. I've got a Hungarian background. I grew up in Hungary, and it's like a staple. We eat so much of it. And finding out that it's really bad for you, especially the skin and the seeds, that was a bit of a surprise to me. Also, obviously, gluten, which we sort of knew about, that is not healthy. And lectins glutens are actually just one type of gluten. There's many, many more, obviously. And I've tried to sort of stick to those principles, cut out a lot of vegetables from my diet at that point, which I think helped me on my journey, um, to sort of later on accept the carnivore concept, but I'll get to that in a minute. Um, but what didn't make sense there for me is that, is it just lectins? There must be something else as well. And he was advocating for a lot of vegetables, eating a lot of, mainly, basically a plant-based diet with a very little meat. And I loved vegetables. I ate a lot of vegetables and salads. I grew my vegetables. My dad grows his vegetables. In Hungary, we ate a lot of vegetables and fruit. But I always liked meat. I always liked eating meat as well. I could never give up meat. I could reduce it. I could eat a lot of vegetables, but I always had to have meat with it. So that didn't appeal to me. And then, sort of probably about a year ago, I was following not a YouTuber. He was like podcaster, I guess, and he mentioned that his sister ate meat only. I don't remember if the word carnivore was mentioned or not. Maybe it was. But I remember I was actually at the time standing, I was listening from my phone with earphones in, and I was at this fruit and veggie store that I love going to. And I was looking around all these beautiful, colorful fruits around me and vegetables, thinking, that's mad. How can somebody do that? Eating only meat? That's not possible. But this guy was saying that, oh, his sister felt so good, best she felt in her life, and wow, wow. So, okay, then a few months went by. I was listening another podcaster I was following at the time, not necessarily health-related stuff, but he actually interviewed Dr. Anthony Chaffee, and this is where it really started to kick in. And then in the interview, the famous plants are trying to kill you interview or speech was mentioned, and of course I had to look it up straight away when the interview was over. I was googling it, or searching on YouTube, and I did come across it. And 20 minutes, and I was sitting there gobsmacked, going, "Oh my god, this makes sense. This actually makes sense." So if Dr. Gundry says lectins are bad, turns out there's much more than just lectins that he somehow doesn't seem to mention, although he does mention to take loads of supplements, which obviously you don't get from the plants he recommends. But yeah, so it made sense, but I was shocked. I actually, next morning, I opened up my fridge and my freezer, which was stacked with vegetables and frozen vegetables, and I was looking at them. Guys, what am I going to do with you now? And I don't know, I just started chucking things out. I'm like, I felt relieved in a way, to be honest, Dave. I felt a bit relieved because all my life I was searching for answers. All my life I wanted to figure out, crack the code, so to say, of what is healthy, what is it that we are supposed to be eating. And if you think about the, paleo diet or the Paleolithic times, like they did not eat all these cultivated vegetables. So why are we eating all these things? So yeah, it totally made sense, and I gave a lot away. I started clearing my cupboards out in a frenzy. Gave stuff away which I could, chucked out what I couldn't, or yeah, like my compost bin was full of frozen vegetables. And I was thinking, oh, that's so well and good. What am I going to eat now? So I went shopping, and I did eat steak before, but I never was really a massive fan of barbecues and steak. For me, it was more like stewed meat, like stewed beef. Occasionally, I would eat fillet steak. And actually I noticed every time I did it made me feel really good afterwards. But yeah, I wasn't a steak girl or a roast beef girl. And then they kept saying, these doctors, that because I started following everybody, then Dr. Ken Berry's videos came up. There was one where the thumbnail was all these vegetables, broccoli, zucchini, everything all crossed out with big red crosses. And he was saying, I was wrong. You don't need any vegetables whatsoever. Try for 30 days, try for 90 days. And I remember I was going for training. I was training with a personal trainer at the time. And I was telling about this to him, saying, oh, I've just heard this video, and this doctor was saying that, carnivore diet, you can just eat meat, sausages, and things like that. And he was like, no, you don't need to do that. You can still have carbs. It's fine. And then later on, we ended up with quite a few conversations about this. Turned out he was totally on board with the calories in, calories out, calories restrictions. I was asking him, okay, it's well and good that you try to lose weight now and you're calorie restricting. But you can't go on like this. You're always hungry. You're always starving. Can't keep doing this. What's going to happen when you go back to your normal calories, or you're fed up with starving yourself? What happens then? And he couldn't answer me that. He was like, yeah, well, yes. But yet, still, every time I brought up the carnivore thing, he was always like, no, you don't need to do that. Don't do that. So I decided not to listen like I do. I don't like to listen to people. I like to go my own way and experiment and find out things for myself. So I said, oh, well, I'm just going to try it anyway. And that's when, at the same time all of this happened, I started checking out my vegetables and looking at buying meat. And well, I did what Prof. Bart K advises strongly against. I jumped in cold turkey, which was later on turned out to be a big mistake. A few weeks in.
So, a couple of things. So when was this?
Okay. Yes. So I started in June last year.
June 2023.
Yeah.
And we've just a comment on probably. I'm predicting what you're about to say. You and I have met before. When I was in Sydney,
Yeah.
you had kindly organised the meetup for us all,
Yeah, it
and
was
we all
really
met
good.
together in Parramatta, which was great. Thank you. We had a conversation about this in Parramatta over dinner, and I think what you're about to say starts with D. Is that right?
Yeah.
Could
Yes.
you
Yes.
elaborate,
Good,
please?
good dinner topic, right? Oh dear. No, I think a lot of people can relate to that. So what happened was, Dave, when I jumped in cold turkey, I bought myself steak and started to eat that, and I felt amazing. I felt incredible. This burst of after within a few days, within a couple of days, but within a few days, definitely. I remember I was walking towards the park to train with my personal trainer. I felt like I was walking above the ground. I felt euphoric. I felt incredible. And this lasted a good 2 weeks before the D word kicked in. And then I was confused because I still felt good, apart from the regular visits to the bathroom. And I kept thinking, damn it, what do I do now? I felt so good. I don't want to give this up. I can't give this up. And the 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever it was enough for me to actually acquire a taste for beef and start to crave beef. Even though before I was eating it sort of as a obligation sort of thing, and even whinging a little bit to a friend of mine saying, yeah, I'm doing this carnivore diet and I'm feeling really good. And I wish I could say that I love steak, but I really don't love it. I'm just eating it because that's what I should be eating. And, was getting a little bit frustrated from time to time because sometimes things didn't taste as good, or my taste really needed to adapt to, changing between different cuts. And sometimes you get things from one butcher and it tastes really nice and really neutral, and then you buy something from another butcher and it's a different cow, maybe older cow or differently aged or something, and it's got a stronger animal taste. And then if you're not used to it, I think it takes a while to get used to that taste. So I was whinging to her, but by the time the D word kicked in, I actually started to crave beef, which was really really weird. So I was like, no, I can't give. I have to keep going. I'm sure it will pass. I was looking in groups. I started to join Facebook groups and see that yes, it could be a thing and it settles down. But it was, yeah, when you're a middle in a condition, you can't really see the end of the light, or sorry, the light of the end at the end of the tunnel. You sort of, oh, is this ever going to stop? What if it never stops? What if it stays like this? But it did stop. It go away. It went away, and I was fine. Um, yeah, that was it. So another thing that I found was I was a massive sugar addict. Like I used to say that, I've got a sweet tooth, which I realized later on or into carnivore that it's a really cutesy way of saying that I'm actually a sugar addict and I can't give it up. And I grew up like that, and my father is the same. And I remember an Easter when he came home with this big paper bag full of all kinds of candy bars, as the Americans say, chocolate bars, sweets, all kinds of sweets, chocolate this, chocolate that, whatever, probably whatever he could find at the time. This was in the 1970s, whatever he could find in the shops. There wasn't a massive variety back in Hungary at that time, but there was still. And that was the best Easter for me. I piled them up on my shelf in my bedroom and just kept getting into them, and it just it's an unhealthy relationship with sugar. When sugar is your comfort, your when you're stressed, when you're happy, You celebrate when you get together with friends, then you take something that you baked. My grandma was a great baker, so she made all this. Every time I went over to her place, there was always baked pastries, things like that. So yeah, I grew up basically in the sugar days, I guess. Another thing I noticed, no, sorry, just to keep on this topic, I tend to jump around a bit, but I try to focus. Um, yeah, so what I found was that I started not craving sugar. Like I know many people say this, it's 100% true. When you're satiated, finally, I think for the first time in my life, I was actually satiated properly. I wasn't hungry anymore. Because at that time, I was eating, by the time I discovered carnivore, just before I discovered carnivore, I was eating loads of salads at work that I would make up this big bowl of salad. I was all righteous and all, proud of myself. People walking past the kitchen and Bernie's got chopping up her salad, big salad. Everybody's commenting, oh, you're eating very healthy. Oh, you're doing really well. And I was so proud of myself. And so that would be my lunch, a massive salad with maybe a couple of eggs, like hard-boiled eggs, or some prosciutto or a bit of ham or something like that. So it was always like the protein was more like a topping, not the main actor in the play. And then I would jump down on the salad, probably for take me half an hour in front of my computer while I was working, just chowing down on the salad. And then as soon as I was finished, okay, what am I going to eat now? I was not full. No matter how big the salad was, I was just not full. So all the healthy eating that people looked at me and thought, oh, Bernie's eating so healthy. Yeah, Bernie was going out and buying a big bag of Maltesers from the supermarket afterwards, or something else, chocolate, some kind of chocolate, because there's a big shopping center behind my work, so it's very easy to nip out and just buy loads of stuff, which I used to. Aldi, there's a good Aldi there, lots of chocolate, really good German chocolate, loved it. So I was sitting in the afternoon at my desk and practically eating chocolate all afternoon until I felt sick.
You know what? That's so interesting that you describe the story like that, because that kind of behavior is something that is very familiar to me. You try to eat the right way, like you spend all this time, you make 2 wheelbarrows full of salad for lunch, spend all that time,
Yeah.
you hump it all to work, mix it all up with your salad dressing when you're at work, you get into it, and then you're just like, "Okay, so what's next?" And
Yeah.
you're down to the supermarket or the convenience store buying junk food, and then like, "Oh, this is great." Then you feel horrible afterwards, and
Yeah.
it's just this cycle that goes on, right?
Dave, I felt like I was failing every day. I failed
Mm,
every day. Every
mm.
day I started out with my intermittent fasting, not eating anything in the morning. And then, like I said, for lunch, I would have my salad and my whatever healthy, not so healthy, like we know now, meal. And then I would stuff my face with chocolate and sugar in the afternoon. So, like I said, I fed every day. I failed every day. And it's not a nice feeling. And the sugar gave me the endorphin and the happy thing. But deep down, I knew that this was failure. This is not good. This is not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. And the problem with that happy feeling is it's so short-lived. It's like, "Ooh, feel good. Okay, bye."
Yeah.
Now I feel tired.
And I feel terrible. Now it's dinner time, and I don't feel really having my dinner, but I know I should be having it, and I want to because I like eating. But it's my stomach is saying that nah, I'm not really hungry, but I would still force it down. So it was a terrible cycle, a really, really terrible cycle. And what I was really happy that it was gone. I'm lucky. I'm tall. I'm 5'10" or 177 centimeters. I can get away with a lot. And plus, I've got a sporty background. I did a lot of sports. I went to a sports school when I was a kid in Hungary for 8 years. So I did a lot of sports. So I think I got away with a lot. A lot of people, like I had a friend who was quite big, and she said to me, the amount of sweets you're eating, how the hell you're not the size of a house? But I've got this sort of constant doing something personality, always doing something. So I think I was burning off or using up that, extra energy that I was putting in my body, or the sugar or whatever. So I got away with, but I started to look plump, not very toned anymore. And then I put it down. Oh yeah, because you sort of bargain with yourself all the time, try to say, oh no, it's not the sweets, and I'm middle aged now, and yeah, it comes with age. But I knew it. I'm better than
I
that.
ate a
To
little
know.
bit too much salad today, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
I overdid. I really overdid the salad today. But it's not just the salad, Dave. I all the time I had cooked broccoli and cauliflower in my fridge. So I would, if I had like a late breakfast when I was working from home, then I would warm up the in a frying pan the vegetables and crack some eggs on top of it, and some bacon or something. So the bacon and the egg part was good, probably not as much as I should have been eating, but there was all these vegetables there which were giving me carbs, no matter if they are sort of low carb vegetables, they're still vegetables, and there are still some carbs and stuff in them. So again, I would have a big meal, big plate of this. And as soon as I finish, what should I eat? What else should I eat? And I was telling my trainer about this. I said to him, I'm so good in the morning, not eat, and then eat a healthy meal. And then somehow, like the floodgates are open, my hunger just fires up like some kind of a dragon. Oh, that's my cat. That's Tommy. And then I just
G'day,
couldn't.
Tommy.
I couldn't stop eating. I could not stop eating. As soon as I started eating, I could not stop. And when I started the carnivore, this was one of the biggest thing that, it went away. Finally, first time in my life, I wasn't hungry. I wasn't constantly thinking, what else shall I eat? What else shall I have? What else? Every 2 hours, eating non-stop. It was terrible. So actually, the freedom it gave me, and to the bandwidth in my head, in my brain, that this took up, this constant obsessing with food, was exhausting, absolutely exhausting. And I just felt so free. I thought, okay, I enjoy what I eat now. I don't need the sweets. I don't crave the sweets anymore. I'm not saying that. I think once an addict is always an addict. Occasionally, when I walk past the supermarket or the shops and I see the sweets, I go, "Hi, friends. Yes, we used to be friends, but you were not so good to me. So we've broken up, and we are going to stay like that now." So I'm not going to say that I never ever miss having something or think about having something, but it's a fleeting thought. It goes away pretty quickly, and as soon as I have my next meal or something, don't even think about it anymore. I feel good.
Nice. So, since June 2023, what has changed for you?
Oh yeah, there's a lot. Just wanted to make sure that I get everything in there. So one funny thing that I don't actually remember anybody mentioning before in any of these interviews, and I listen to all of your videos, by the way. They are amazing. I love hearing people's stories. They are just brilliant. Every day in the morning, I switch my phone on, and the first thing I look at is, has they put out a new video yet? So
Thank
what
you
has
very much.
changed? That's okay. My pleasure. No, you deserve it. Constant throat clearing, especially when I was eating gluten. And they said that it's dairy that causes mucus, but I don't think so, because I do actually eat a little bit of dairy from time to time as a treat. Tiny bit of Greek yogurt, or a little bit of feta cheese or something like that, some, high fat cheeses. Not a lot. I'm not a cheese addict, luckily. But they kept saying, they said that it's the dairy that closes mucus. But it was for me. I'm 100% sure it was the gluten. Constantly felt like there was something sitting in my throat. Constantly clearing my throat. It was so annoying. But sometimes to the point where I actually caused myself a sore throat from the constant throat clearing. It's very unpleasant. So that's all gone. I used to have terrible lower back pain. I've got bulging discs in my lower back, and I've got a funny condition where the tailbone and the vertebrae that's above the tailbone, for every normal person, it's connected, grown together. For me, they are separate. So I've got literally an extra vertebrae. And I don't know if that's causing it, but I had nerve problems in that area around my tailbone. I had scans. There was a canal where, like the hole where the nerve goes through, that was closing up. And I kept thinking, oh my God, I'm an active person. If it closes up completely, I will either end up having to have surgery, which I would dread. I had surgery before, and I swore that I would never let another doctor cut me again. It was horrendous. So I was worried about that. I had tingling down the front of my thigh when I was pretty much every time unless I was walking, I was moving. So if I was sitting, if I was lying in bed, if I was just standing, not moving, that tingling, and it was over time, over the years, got gradually worse and worse, and I was a bit worried about that, to be honest. That's gone completely. No more. I used to have sciatica, terrible sciatica, because of my lower back. The nerves got pinched, or if I made a bad move, or bend down in a way, and then, or if I was bending forward too much, like gardening or doing something like that, for days I would be in terrible pain, terrible pain. So that's gone. I don't get that. I don't get that anymore. I used to have gut pain all the time, bloating, gas, not a very nice topic, but unfortunately, and bit of heading towards constipation. This was before the D word kicked in. But yeah, it's look, to be honest, much as I love vegetables, still love them, don't eat them, but love them from a safe distance. I don't think vegetables agree with me. They don't like me at all. And I think it's the fiber. Apart from the toxins, I just can't do with the fiber. I remember when I was a child, and at school they would give us sort of school morning tea or afternoon tea, and it would be usually like a bread roll with a slice of salami or slice of Devon or something in it, and an apple. I would eat that. Within half an hour, I would be sitting at my desk, and could hardly sit still because the gut pain kicked in. I would walk home bent over, have to lie down at home because I had such gut pain and bloating and just horrible, horrible feeling. Now that's all gone. With the fiber gone, gut pain's gone. Used to wake up in the middle of the night with gut pain when I had a big meal of vegetables, like fibrous vegetables like carrots and I don't know, whatever, these really fibrous vegetables. And of course the broccoli and the cauliflower, or the cruciferous or whatever they're called, vegetables, the kale and cauliflower and broccoli and Brussels sprouts. Love them, but they would give me such issues. At night I would wake up with pain, toss and turn, try to find a position to go back to sleep. It was not pleasant at all. Used to have lots of joint pain as well, I'm not saying that they are 100% gone. I'm 7 months into it, so there's a lot of improvement in the joint areas as well. but I think that's a process. I mean, I'm not even expecting these things to heal overnight or within a few months. I mean, it's many, many decades of abuse of the body and eating not the right stuff. So I'm patient. I'm patient with that.
I'm just
Um,
smiling because, when you talk about abuse, it's like abuse by vegetable. It's
yeah, it is. And they look so innocent. They look so innocent, but they are little psychos. Yeah, so what else? Brain fog. So I consider myself a switched on person, and I just never understood why I couldn't get out of second gear. And I wasn't a massive tea and coffee drinker. I can't actually drink coffee because I've got a sensitivity to it. I'm quite a highly strung person, so if I drink coffee, I just go mental. Like literally, I anxiety attacks, all kinds of things. So I never was a coffee drinker. I ended up drinking black tea to stimulate myself because I couldn't get out of second gear. I was just in this, I should be doing all this. I have all these plans in my head that I want to do things. And then I was just like, oh, yeah, okay, yes, I'll get onto it. I did force myself because I do have a bit of self control or, control over things. But it was just, it didn't come naturally that really, let's get up and go. And at my work as well, I felt sometimes I was struggling, doing things, but dragging along. And I did everything. Of course, I did my job very well, but still, it was an effort. While now it's not. It's not anymore. I feel like I'm switched on. I sit down. I'm more focused. I get into it. I do it, and it's much better. Much better. I feel like the light bulb has been switched on in my head.
that's awesome. Um, and oh, sorry, you have more there?
Yeah, just a few.
Ah, go ahead. Please go ahead, please.
That's okay. That's okay. So I used to have anger issues. I would fire up really quickly. I did not have much patience to other people and situations. And because I'm an intelligent person, I kept it under control and I didn't show it, but I can tell you now that I was walking in the supermarket almost every time with my shopping trolley ready to ram the shopping trolley into people. I was so wound up. I hated being at the shopping center. I hated being at the shops because that's another aspect of it. I was always overwhelmed with the choices. You know what I mean? All these vegetables, all these fruits, all these everything that, when you're on a standard diet or on an eating everything diet, you're just overloaded with choices. So I was overwhelmed every time I had to go to the shopping center. And, my brain obviously wasn't in a good space from all the sugar and the carbs. And I was just like raging inside. I was polite still on the outside. I smiled and said hello to the checkout chick, but still inside, I was so wound up all the time. And it's gone. I know exactly what I'm buying. I go in there, I buy my meat, I buy my eggs, my butter, and I'm out of there. In, at. And plus, I'm calmer. I'm much calmer. That's another thing. I feel calmer. I didn't lose my personality. I'm still the same person who I was. I've got, I'm upbeat and I'm not like, like a toned down zombie, not like I'm smoking something, But I just, this general calm, more calm, happier inside, more tolerant towards others, I guess. I still judge people when I look at their shopping trolley, obviously, and when I'm standing in front
But
of the checkout in front of me.
so now you're not thinking about ramming the people, you're
No,
thinking about
no, no.
you're thinking about advising them on the what
Yeah,
their dietary choices.
Exactly. Actually, it was so funny. I went shopping this morning, and there were all this steak at on special at the shop I love to go to, which is a fruit and veggie shop, plus like a really good deli, not deli. How to put it? Like a really upmarket supermarket, just smaller, but there's a really good meat section as well, and but there's a lot of fruit and veggies there as well, and really nice, good stuff. But there was this couple in front of me, and they were loading all the vegetables and the salads and the herbs and the fruit and the everything, and they just the conveyor belt just kept going and going, and I was there with my pile of meat, it's packaged meat, pile of bacon, packets of bacon, and my carton of egg. My area was this big, and I was looking at them, smirking to myself, thinking, "Oh my God, you poor things! I used to be you. I used to be carting all this rubbish home, thinking, when am I going to cook them? Because one thing that you buy them, you have to actually cook them and eat them, and you end up with so much waste of things wilting away in your fridge, and just having to chuck them out, or just cooking them when they are not that fresh. And it's all about fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, fresh salad. But you end up hardly ever eating really fresh stuff unless you buy it that morning and then you eat it. But you cart home all these things, they wilt away in your fridge, end up throwing them, feeling guilty at the same time, feeling the pressure that I have to cook them. Oh, when am I going to cook them now? Oh, it's like a weight off my shoulders. And the funny thing was, they were probably looking over mine, thinking she's going to get a heart attack. Oh my God, that poor thing! Look at that unhealthy, terrible diet. She should really buy some fruit and vegetables. That's awful.
Yeah, there
And
was probably this cycle of judgment going on.
I'm pretty sure it goes back and or sorry, vice versa. Yeah, I'm sure it works both ways. It's hilarious, but what an inverted, upside down world we live in, when healthy is unhealthy, unhealthy is healthy, the truth is lies, the lies are truth, or what they call lies is actually the truth. Everything is inverted, everything is upside down. And I feel sorry for the people who can't be bothered to look into things or walk their own path. They blindly trust the food industry, the medical industrial complex, the medical mafia. They trust the doctors. They follow blindly what they tell them. Go on the statin. Go on your blood pressure medication. This is normal. You're getting older. And I keep telling my 80-year-old dad, who's luckily, thank God, he's really healthy. He's 80, but he's really good, apart from a little bit of blood pressure issues. I keep telling him, Dad, it's not normal. This is not normal. People should not be living like this. The last 10, 20, 30, 40, whatever, it's getting wider and wider, that gap, when or it's starting to get earlier and earlier, when people are starting to get really unhealthy, start to get on medication. One medication is followed by two other medication because they are causing side effects and issues. And then you look at people at the pharmacy in the early 50s, looking terribly sick, buying a bunch of medication, and you think, this is not right, this is not normal. You look around the pharmacies, this is not normal. How we should be is that we live a healthy, vigorous life till we are 90, 100, whatever, and then we just fall asleep and never wake up. And this is how generations ago people used to die. Not cancer, not Alzheimer's, not heart attacks. They just died of old age. And that's
Yeah,
how it should be.
when you put it like that, it really kind of puts things into perspective when you think a lot of like, yeah, this never used to happen. And the thing is, if it all went away, we would have all this business infrastructure that would have nothing to sell to anybody. Like if
The
all the
economy
problems
would
went away.
collapse, Dave. The economy, if everybody, I was saying this to somebody the other day, if tomorrow everybody decided, okay, I'm choosing carnivore, I'm going to eat meat from now on, the implications would be horrendous for the economy. The economy would collapse. The health industry, the medical industry, the hospitals, the doctors, but that's just one thing. Agriculture, all the people that are employed by these industries, like down to the janitor, basically, everybody, they
Yeah.
would be out of a job. So I don't know what the way out of this is. I'm not even trying to solve this problem. I don't think there's a danger that that happens, that tomorrow we will wake up and everybody is suddenly going to be carnivore, because to be honest, it's really hard to put it through to people. And I know I'm the type of person who, I know other people have said this before, that you discover something and you get so passionate about it and so excited about it, and like, I have to rush out and tell everybody about it. Everybody needs to know this, like now. So I go and tell everybody, and people just sort of go, oh, they're really polite. People usually that I hang out with, they like me, and they probably think I'm a little bit loopy, but I'm a likable loopy. So so they go, oh, yeah, yeah, oh, that sounds really good. Oh, yum, yeah, you're eating all that steak. Oh, that sounds really good. Do they change? No, no. Or they think, oh, yeah, yeah, she's doing that. It's good on her, but I can't do that. People are so deeply in their addiction, and I can understand that. I was there. I completely can understand. It's not an easy thing to kick the addiction to the curb. It takes an effort and a mindset, and you really have to put your mind to it. You really want to, have to want to do that, and like you have to have your why, or you have to. Some people just have to hit rock bottom with their health. Unfortunately, I
Yeah.
didn't get there. Luckily, I was not there at all. Although I've got, yes, all these problems. I had heartburn before, so there's a few little niggly other things that I was dealing with. And if I was gardening all day, or my hobby is painting furniture, and I've got a little side business where I sell the furniture paint and run workshops for. But if I was working on a project, painting, refurbishing a piece of furniture, and I would be doing that all day, sanding and painting it, bending down, squatting, kneeling, getting into the deeper beats or something. After a day of doing that, the next day I would wake up, and I would feel like somebody had beaten me up. Like I felt so sore all over in my body, just aches and pains everywhere. It would take me 2 days or 3 days to recover. Now, no issues. Another wonderful side effect of the carnivore diet is I ended up parting ways with my personal trainer. I just couldn't stand his approach to his, calories and calories restriction and all that rubbish. And yeah, just no, it didn't work out. So anyway, I'm doing Pilates twice a week now, and I'm really pushing myself. And the trainers can see that I really want to improve quickly, and they are pushing me. It's basically, I'm doing the reformer Pilates, which is a form of, if it's a form of resistant training where you use your own body weight and the springs that are on the machines, and the strength of the springs, obviously the higher the setting, the harder it is to do the exercises. So I'm doing that, and no matter how hard I push myself, I also do sprints like Dr. Sean O'Mara recommends. I try to do at least one a week, sort of to fit in with my Pilates classes, because I want a day apart, so not like doing it one after the other. I can push myself as hard as I can. My thighs could burn, my arms could burn, training really hard. And in the afternoon, when I walk around, my legs might be a little bit shaky, or my arm may be shaky because of the exercise and the the training I did. Next day, there's no sore pains, no sore muscles, none at all. Like there's not that lactic acid build up in your muscles that you get when you don't exercise for a while and then you jump in and then you like can barely walk or barely get out of bed. None of that. Even though I keep upping the settings, and I tested it out, like went really hard, really feeling the burn. Next day, nothing. Incredible. And Dr. Anthony Chaffee has been talking about this, and I
Mm.
really had to test it out for myself. I wanted to see, not that I didn't believe him, I just wanted to see for myself or experience it for myself, and it's amazing. I'm building muscle. I up my protein. I think initially I wasn't eating enough protein because it does take an adjustment. So, if I had probably transitioned over as Barkey recommends over 6 weeks, it would have been different. But, I jumped in, like I said, and it took me a while to build up the amount of eating because I just felt so full. I felt so full. I didn't feel I could eat enough. So now I can have a packet of bacon in the morning, or not morning, like midday, late morning or midday, packet of bacon, 4 eggs, probably that. And then in the afternoon, I can smash rump steak that's about this big. Wow, where am I? I'm not kidding. I tried it out and I thought I'm just going to cook it up and see how far I can go with it. Because beforehand, I would cook up a ribeye steak, which are usually here in Australia, or where am I? About this big. And it's fatty, and I would add more butter to it, and then I would eat whatever I cooked up. But this time I thought I cooked the whole thing up, and it was a big boy. And I thought I'm just going to see how far I can go with it, and I finished it. I couldn't
Nice.
believe.
And how big was that? Was that 500 grams?
I don't know, Dave. I didn't measure it. It was quite a thick piece, and it would have been at least 700,
Wow. So
at
that's more
least.
than that'd be about a pound and a half,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I
Wow.
said, it was a really big piece and quite thick
Mm.
as well. So I thought, let's see how far I can take this. And since I upped my protein over the last months, 2 months probably, I can see that I'm building muscles really, really, really well. Which I thought, oh, probably, I'm 54 this year, so I was thinking, probably, at this age you can't do that, and it's okay. I wasn't I wasn't fat. I was just plump, and I was just getting, sort of not very toned, and now I am getting toned, and I got to the point where I didn't want to wear sleeveless tops because I felt embarrassed about my arms that they were not toned like I used to have them. And now I'm happy to wear sleeveless tops, and I'm happy, and I like to show them off. I'm not like super muscly, but they're getting really nicely toned.
Yeah,
And
it's a
another
nice
thing that,
feeling, right?
yeah, absolutely, when you see progress. And I was just listening to, I don't know if it was Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, who's, I don't know if you've heard of her, but she developed this protein centric healing approach. So she's all about protein, up the protein, and do resistance training twice a week. So it's one thing to lose weight, it's well and good, but after, like all throughout our years and ages, but especially when we start to go into middle age, it's so important to do the resistance training minimum twice a week, for bones, for muscles, because if the longer you leave it, the harder it is. And you don't want to end up in an aged care home because you can't get out of your chair alone, especially if you live alone and then you can't look after yourself. And I know it's early for me to think about these things, but you have to think about these things. You have to keep them. And another thing that I was listening to somebody talk about is that we think that when we eat protein, it's all about muscles. So it all goes into the muscles. Actually, the protein that we eat, a small amount of that, or the smaller amount of that goes towards muscle. It goes towards everything else, gut lining, all kinds of things, replenishing, rebuilding things in the body, like your veins, I guess, or your organs, everything. The organs that replace themselves, they would need building blocks. So people think about protein as just like muscle food, but that's why we have to eat the extra protein to actually allow the amount of protein, or that portion of the protein to go to the muscle, not just for the vital things, the building of the organs and the other things. And yeah, it gets confusing, and you have to navigate it. I find it really funny when I was listening to Kerry from Homestead Hell, and his wife was saying, what can you talk about meat that much? You're just talking about meat, but what can you talk about? There is so much to talk about. There is so much to learn. And there's conflicting information, eat this much fat, less fat, more protein, less protein. Don't eat too much because then you will gain weight, even on carnivore. Or eat as much as you feel like, or until you're satiated, until meat doesn't taste enough, or until you don't want to eat anymore, or until you feel full. I don't know. From my perspective, I just want to enjoy this, and I want to eat as much as I like, and have a little bit of dairy if I feel like it, if that's what I want. And I have cheated a couple of times. I cheated on my birthday in November when I visited some friends in Adelaide, and I had a couple of bourbons on the rocks, and I had tiramisu ice cream, and I had a few tiny bit of little things here and there. Mostly I was good, and they were wonderful. This couple was just beautiful. They were the ones who used to do keto, so they fully accommodated me, put on a big barbecue every night, pork chops, T-bone steaks, put the butter out in front of me. They were just wonderful. And then we went out to a carnivore restaurant in Adelaide, which I don't recommend because it's actually not a carnivore. In our sense, carnivore restaurant is just a very heavily meat focused restaurant. But they had all the sauces and marinades and everything, and yeah, tried to navigate it, but and the food wasn't that great either. But anyway, it was a nice experience, and we went out and had a meal and chatted and everything, and they were wonderful. But they are not keto anymore, and they eat other stuff as well. And when we were out and about, I ate a few things. I was a bit worried initially because since June, I didn't. From June, I was really, really good. From June up until November last year, I was really good, strict. And I kept thinking, I'm a sugar addict. I shouldn't be. It's like an alcoholic, because alcoholic can't have a glass of, drink, like a glass of wine or something. It turns into 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 or whatever. Same here with the sugar. I eat a little bit, suddenly something lights up in my brain, and I just want more and more. So I was a bit worried. I was like, how is this going to go? Should I do it? Shouldn't I do it? And I thought I'll try. I'll see what happens. And the funny thing was that I didn't go back into the full blown addiction. As soon as I was at Adelaide Airport, flying back to Sydney, I went to the shops there, found beef, not beef jerky, yes. Found one that had hardly any bad stuff in it, just a little bit of spices or something, not sugar, no nothing. I bought a big bag of that, and I was munching on that on at the airport before I boarded my plane, and then from then on I was back into it, straight back into it. Same happened around Christmas. I went a little bit naughty, not too bad, just like a glass of champagne, midnight, and things like that. Next day, back into it straight away. So looks like that you can kick the addiction. I'm not saying that you should cheat, not by any means. But if you do, don't be terrified. Just go back to what you were doing before, and don't even think about it. Don't feel guilty. Don't question yourself, or why did I, oh God, oh no. Because that's the problem, I think. That's what people end up doing. Oh, I had one thing, oh, I blew it. I blew my diet. I failed. Well, I may as well have something else now. And then it just goes on and on and on. Like, I think it's good. I think I think not encouraging people, but maybe try cheating once with one thing and see how you go from there. And you can do it. That's not failure. Failure was me before when I was chomping down on my salad, and then every day, and every day I was eating sweets afterwards. That was failure. When you have a little bit of something and cheat a little bit and go back to your good way of eating the next day or the day after, that's fine.
Hmm.
That's not
I
failure.
think, yeah, it's something you said there. It really is worth emphasizing is we shouldn't beat ourselves up,
No,
you know,
no.
because that's the surefire way to, make it worse for yourself.
Yeah,
As you say,
definitely.
you start beating yourself up. I'm a terrible person. I shouldn't have done this. Oh well, I've ruined it all now. Time for the donuts.
Yeah,
And.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah. A lot of people do that, but yeah, it doesn't have to be like that at all.
mm.
I just wanted to talk about supplements shortly. So I
Sure.
think
Go ahead.
yeah, sorry. I think I'm one of the 10% of the people who need to heavily supplement with magnesium. I do get the cramps. I think that my electrolytes are a little bit all over the place. I know Bartkay says that if you eat, OMAD, then it helps, but I can't do OMAD. I tried. I did it a few times. I have to eat twice a day. So I think that it probably will settle down. But I remember you talked to a lovely young man before, and he was saying the same thing, that he was suffering from cramps, and he's part of the 10% group, and it totally resonated with me. And that's what I'm doing. I think we are all depleted on magnesium levels when we ate the rubbish diet before, and I think it's one of those things that it's okay to supplement heavily with, because I think we just need it. And I also take electrolytes twice a day, just half a teaspoon of the Ancient Lakes electrolytes, which I find more affordable than other brands. Um, but yeah, that's just worked out for me. And yeah, the other thing that I wanted to talk about is fish oil, because most people know about omega-3s, the importance of omega-3s, but just because, we've been told omega-3s are good, but don't think people know of the whole full scale of the omega-3 thing, and how omega-3s and the omega-6 and the balance of the two affects your health. And I don't know if people are aware, most people probably are. Omega-6s are terribly inflammatory in high doses. We still need some omega-6s. We are not going to eliminate them completely from our diet, and we don't have to. In fact, we shouldn't. But omega-3s are really important. And I did a little experiment. I take an omega-3 supplement, a fish oil supplement that comes from some Iceland or some Scandinavian country. So they catch the fish, the small fish that doesn't have lots of mercury and heavy metals in them yet. And I think three different types of fish. And this company has a test that you can purchase, which this is the only company that does it. It's a dry spot blood test. So you basically prick your finger with a lancet and then put a few drops of your blood on a card that they supply, and then it gets sent off to a lab in Norway, and they analyze your blood, the omega-3s, omega-6s, omega-9s, and maybe 12s. So like, they do a lipid panel basically and analyze the levels in your blood. And they say that back in the ancient times, the Paleolithic times, the ratio of omega-3s and omega-6s used to be 1 to 1 in the body. But it's still okay if it's 1 to 3. So 1 part omega-3s which are the anti-inflammatory part, to 3 parts of omega-6, which is the inflammatory. So the 1-to-3 ratio is still acceptable. The problem is that when you eat seed oils, vegetable oils, highly processed food, that ratio gets blown out so far. I know I tested my dad. His ratio was 1-to-60, and he eats seed oils, and I'm begging him to stop, but he just, I don't know when he's going to stop. But anyway, but I know that in Hungary, a lot of people who got tested, and children with their terrible diet these days, all the processed food, it's 1 to over 100, the ratio. It's so bad. So 100 times more omega-6s, inflammatory ones, as omega-3s, the anti-inflammatories. So the body are in such an inflammatory state that the cell walls are all inflamed, are closed up, hardened up. The nutrients can't get into the cells. The toxins can't get out of the cells because the cell walls are basically hardened up and closed up. So the body can't do its own detoxification that it would do normally. So it's a terrible situation. So supplement, and the funny thing was that I think it was in Hungary that one year, 2013, I think, they every year they focus on, or they name something in the health space, something to focus on, and that year it was omega-3s. Somehow nobody seems to know about it. So they focus on, but they don't put it out into the public or don't heavily advertise it. So it's very, very strange, but it is an important thing. And where I'm getting at is, I did an experiment on myself. So when I started carnivore for 4 months, I didn't take my fish oil at all to see where would I be with my ratio without the fish oil. Just eating carnivore, cutting out all the bread and everything that is high in omega-6s, the grains and everything. And my result didn't come back awful, but it was higher than 1-to-3. So I'm back to taking the fish oil now. So if people eat sardines, that's perfectly fine. I just can't stomach it. So sardines and fatty fish, if you can eat salmon, like, not the farm salmon, but the actual wild caught salmon, because the farm caught one is full of omega-6s, because they feed them a feed that's horrible. That makes them really high in omega-6s. So if you can eat wild salmon, or if you eat sardines, you're perfectly fine. But I can't. I don't. I never liked fish, except a little white fish like cod or something like that, or snapper, things like that are white, but they are not the best from the fatty perspective. So yeah, and I think that's something that people need to look out for, because upping your omega-3s, that does help more with the joint pain and all the inflammation in the body.
Very good advice.
Mm.
So, Bernadette, do you have a Facebook or a YouTube or anything if people want to reach out to you?
I am on Facebook. I don't have a YouTube. Well, I do, but it's for my business, and I really haven't done much there. I'm on Instagram, but yeah, to be honest, I do social media for my work and for my business, so I really don't have I was thinking, toying with the idea to do something carnivore, and we are encouraged to spread the word, but yeah, I don't think I just have the capacity with everything that's going on in my life, and yeah, I'm happy to chat to people if they want to put a comment in here or something, or reach out to me. More than happy. But yeah, I don't have any channels for carnivore.
Sure.
But
No
yeah,
worries.
this is my contribution. I wanted to come on your channel and share my story and encourage people. Although my story is not a miraculous story in terms of I wasn't massively overweight or anything like that. I was just a little bit podgy. I lost 3 kilos altogether. So that's why I was waiting, because thinking, other people come here and they have these miraculous transformations. But I do feel now that I've transformed my body, and the first 7 months have been wonderful now. And I'm really looking forward to the where the next 6 months or years are going to take me, because I'm definitely going to continue with this. This is the lifestyle now that I want to live like. And I hope they're not going to take beef away from us, because the UN is trying, and the people up there somewhere, they are really trying to vilify beef and animal farming, and that's very scary, to be honest, and that's very sad, and we have to push back against that, and we need to spread the word that 17 grams of protein that they want people to eat red meat. This is the UN saying that that's what they want people to eat a day. 17 grams of red meat is not enough. It's not going to do it for anybody. It's terribly low.
That would put us all back into the same problems we were having before,
No,
I think.
absolutely, and probably that's the aim, because the industries have to continue
Yeah.
making the money, and it's
Well,
terrifying. But yeah, hopefully, then more people wake up and more people start to push back and realize that this whole vegan agenda, which is an agenda, and it is a social engineering thing. It's not going to be good. It's sad that how many young people unfortunately fall into this propaganda. It's very scary, and not just the full vegans, the ones who think, oh, okay, I'm going to drink oatmeal now, oat milk and almond milk, and because and I was looking at those things before. I mean, I'm not judging anybody. I'm just, now that I'm the other side of it, looking back, I just feel sorry for the people who are getting absolutely misled, and who are very misguided now. And yeah, just hope that the word gets out, more and more people, and you're doing a fantastic job spreading the word and all these fantastic stories that you're doing. So thank you so much for that, Dave. You're doing an absolutely amazing job, and
thank you very
it's
much.
really important, yeah, to keep going. So if you
Mm.
want me to come on in another 6 months time or something, or a year's time, or whenever, to do a catch up, I'm more than happy to do that.
Thank you very much. And Bernadette, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
My absolute pleasure, Dave. Thanks for having me on.